What we were doing with the Lapland expedition was dealing with the legacy of the transatlantic slave trade among African descendants. So we travel around the North Atlantic region, that is West Africa, the east coast of the United States, the Caribbean, and some European countries such as France, England, Portugal, and Spain. So white European or American will in identification to what the African experienced during the transatlantic slave trade and slavery, they will issue apology, but under yokes and chains, to the yokes on them and the chains, and we'll do that publicly, walking on a public in the street. We find public place where we could stop for prayer and do an apology where community members are invited to join in and receive the apology and the various statements. So we have done that and until 2013 with our last expedition in Haiti. So as far as what I continue doing, it's a little bit of that. Just I was doing that before I met and joined Lapland expedition, working from here between the African descendant in the East Coast, the Caribbean, and the West Coast of Africa, West and Central Coast of Africa, traveling back and forth, dealing with this the legacy that the transatlantic slave trade have left among African people in general. I just come back from a trip in Guadeloupe, which is a French island. It is a good time for me to talk more about that.
Yeah, that's good. We wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah. So I just come back from there. I was there for a whole month to prepare and then to run a symposium dealing with this legacy that African descendants have a struggle with, and then we were focusing in the three particular aspects of life: the family, the economic, and the education. So the aim was to take, this is the gospel, huh? The aim was to take the gospel outside of our forward churches into the public arena and speak the language that is not only the Christian language while we are dealing with this issue, because the issue concerns everyone in a society among African descendants. So we want to learn to speak a different language when we are communicating, a language that people who are not Christian can understand. And so it's giving us the opportunity to demonstrate the gospel in the public arena differently. So that was it. And the biggest challenge that we face is okay, something like this is not, the churches are not involved in dealing with this issue, especially publicly. And Guadeloupe is still a French territory. So everything that is happening there in the economic, education, government, and so forth is decided from Paris. So it is a department of France. So it makes the situation even more sensitive and delicate to deal with. You bring in the gospel of peace, but you're dealing with this sensitive issue where the region is still a property, if I might say so, of a country which is 6,000 kilometers away, and decisions are being made from that place. Yet the people are still struggling with what history have left them to struggle with. So it poses a serious challenge to navigate and be true to our message, but not to stir what we don't want to stir. You understand? Yeah. So that's a little bit of what we went to do. It was something new. We were pioneering ground in this area, in this particular approach, to have the collaboration of churches and other people pose a serious challenge to it. Plus, when like you say, I'm saying you going into an area that you don't know, you never traveled before, so the logistic of it, the organization of it, and so forth. So we were learning all of that as we were doing. I'm saying the church that was hosting me invited me there to run the symposium. So, but as far as the accomplishment through the messages, it was fantastic, and I believe that spiritually we made a dent in that in a spiritual area, real. We made a dent, which is really considerable, because if the information is not taken publicly and we're not addressing this publicly from a spiritual perspective, then the spiritual principalities still having a foothold and controlling the communities of people in these various aspects of life. And so I came back satisfied with what was accomplished spiritually, not fully satisfied, because I would have loved to reach a much bigger population. But with the radio and TV interviews that we had presenting it and talking about it, we reached a lot of people, not only in Guadeloupe, but all the French territory, Guyana, Martinique, France, Union, and what else? Wherever the French Empire has extended.
Oh.
So through the audience.
Joseph, I have a question for you, because I knew you were in Guadeloupe, that it's a French colony.
Yes.
France's history has been so much secular. I mean, it really is heavily secularistic. Does that show up in Guyana and Guadeloupe as well? Because when you talk about the principalities and such, I mean, that definitely comes out of that French connection. But was that pretty much manifest in Guadeloupe as well?
Yes, it is. It is, but it is different because the majority of the population now, they are African descendant.
Right.
And wherever you have the African descendant, you have that spiritual and religious element, regardless of being in France, under France or not. So but you have these two dynamic going on. You have a lot of brilliant people there, impressively brilliant, but they have this, I don't know if I want to say, what did you say?
Secular.
Secular.
But they having that secular approach, and I mean, knowing the history of Christianity involvement in the trade and the institutionalization of slavery is not helping, because these brilliant people are blaming Christianity because the history, they are accusing Christianity and they're rejecting it, and they're having a tremendous influence among the population. So for us to go in a public arena in attempt not to counter that, but to bring a different voice, so people can see, have a different view of Christ or Christianity. That's what we you know, we're part of what we were struggling with.
Wow. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about that? Just about when you all go out, and who are you seeking to give apologies? And so where does the apology actually come from?
Okay. Apology comes from white Caucasian, but it comes from African born and raised, such as me, on behalf of those of our ancestors who partake in betraying their own brother and sister into the hands of the slave merchants. And so we are issuing that to God, of course, but to the African descendants.
Joseph, I just got another chapter from David Pott.
Yes.
So he's about to finish his book. This chapter's on Jamaica.
Oh yeah, yes.
So I don't know did the Lifeline expedition get to Jamaica already?
Yes, we did. I think if we have a chapter on Jamaica, that will be on a Lifeline, because he went to Jamaica because of Lifeline. You know, I was already in charge of Lifeline, and of course, I has been in Jamaica and other Caribbean islands for many years.
Yes.
Ministering there, and so because of my connection there, so I organized in Jamaica, being very influential islands in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very influential. So we decided that we need to touch the main Caribbean nations that are having a greater influence. Jamaica and Haiti being two of them. So we did not reach all, because the two other islands that we were not able to reach were Cuba and Dominican Republic.
I really believe he needs to get that book out, although it happened over, what, 10 or 15 years?
Yes.
Just to catch people up. It was David Pott's, it was revelation from the Lord that he needed to do this. He was a headmaster in a school.
Yeah.
With YWAM, I think, actually.
Yes. He worked with YWAM, and he's an Englishman at the time when he received that vision. It was in London.
Yes.
So, I met with one of his trustee in 2003. And as he was talking what they were doing, I was blown away. I said, great day. I never dreamed to hear a white man talking like this and having this kind of approach. I said, man, they must have something interesting. I would like to connect with them. That's how I connected with them in 2007. He stepped down from a leading aide, and I took over the leadership.
Yes. And the whole issue is that the white man needs to repent for the slavery, and they have gone from village to village in Africa, in Europe, in England, in North America, and in the Caribbean. Haven't finished because they wanted to go to South America also, right?
No, we did. We went to Colombia.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, we went to Colombia. In
Not to Brazil.
Not to Brazil. I mean, we couldn't cover all the countries, but we went to Colombia. We went to Barbados, Jamaica, Curacao, Guadeloupe, Martinique. Went there. In Africa, I went to Ghana, Togo, Benin, Gambia, Senegal.
Wow.
Yeah. And then here in North America, we did the whole East Coast, from Massachusetts all the way down to South Carolina. And
this little is a bit of trivia perhaps, but it's important to me. I was sent the video of the Lifeline expedition, Yokes and Chains, by Fawn Parrish. I have never met her, but I've read her books.
Yeah.
And she was heading up the YWAM's Reconciliation School at the time.
Uh-huh.
And so I got that, and I saw Michael's email address on there. So I thought, well, I don't know how to connect with David Pott, but I want to. And so I wrote Michael, and he called me. And we just hit it off, and he was so excited that somebody was still interested in this topic of reconciliation. And so, you know, Michael, he was our videographer. TV had prophesied actually over us when we met him in Atlanta that we needed to meet the people I was interviewing needed to meet each other, and that we needed to video every step of it. And I thought, where do we get a videographer that will travel with us? And so Michael was it. And he's the one that began to know we needed to make a DVD before we knew it. But anyway, that's the history back for us a little ways. But your history with him, because Michael followed the Lifeline expedition with his family of 9 kids in a motorhome in America, right?
Yes. We traveled around the East Coast here, and then we went to Barbados together. And he and we traveled to Colombia. And then we went to England to shoot part of the work that we did in 2007 in England, and a part of it in Gambia and Senegal. He traveled with us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story. The whole thing is I was just in tears reading chapter 13 for him recently. I'm editing his book, which helps me have access to it to write the chapter on him for my book. So there's a benefit to both of us. We met with him in March when we were there. We went up to Northumberland where they're living now. Spent a few hours with them.